got Gen.G, the hometown favorites here in Korea. They're going to be on the left in blue. You know the names, you know the faces. We're going to see if they can come out here and get a victory right out of the gate. It's going to be Sake on Karazim, Reset on Li Ming, Rich on Hanzo, Kyocha on Blaze, and Tisk leading the front line on the Diablo.
And in red here is going to be BALLISTIX, where we have Magi on that Stukov, SDE on his Tychus, Jung-Ha on that Urel. Got those assets coming away, or going away, excuse me. We do have Hooligan moving over to that Garrosh. And last up was SC, in fact, on that Phoenixes with Pause coming through here.
We even have ballistic glow sticks.
I mean, we don't mess around. And when I say we, I mean this crowd. I don't know why I'm taking credit for the greatness that they have, in fact, provided here. But I am just in absolute awe of the support here for the Korean players. And, you know, understandably so with how amazing each and every one of those 10 members on the stage are here.
If you got a color for yourself for a glow stick, what color would yours be?
That's a good question. Probably purple. It's my favorite color.
I can dig it. Well, you know, obviously, and we're trying to get something squared away really quickly. I imagine that maybe some hotkeys, minor issue.
Yeah.
We'll hopefully have this resolved quickly. But, you know, coming back to things, we'll see. I think we are ready to go back in, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're ready.
I believe I got the cue here as we're getting things going. My goodness, it just does not stop there. Look at that Decker.
I think we're ready to go into the game.
Here we are.
There we go.
Let's go. 14 seconds deep, but I'm ready for it. So far, not too interesting of a kind of approach to the laning situation. So far, with BALLISTIX, just minor advantage there. Onto the eye control. Actually, so much so Blaze might have to second guess his positioning on the top half. That was a really good rotation. Not going to threaten to kill anything, but it's a, you know, small advantage there for BALLISTIX on that top half.
Yeah, with these setups, I'm really curious the way that Gen.G, the way the draft unfolded, how they're going to approach it. They love to manipulate the night camps on several maps, soften up those lanes, see if they can get some kills behind that. But more importantly, during that first temple phase, as we started to see more and more metas evolve around that, it was a matter of get that top lane push and then get that first fort of the game, which nets you more overall experience. Reset, nice blink.
Yeah, great
Right
job. And
outside of
punishment
that.
coming in on it. Hooligan. Look at that shadow charge coming through along with the flip over. Hooligan trying to kite out. He will. The responsive damage going on to Tisk in first blood here for BALLISTIX.
Diablo's like, hold on, wait a minute, I don't have souls, but you can see SDE coming in. You would wonder why they're so powerful on this hero, but SCSC using that plasma cutter and a follow-up, he's warping forward into that bush. They will look for another invade here. BALLISTIX coming out. Dreadnought, when I saw BALLISTIX at Gen.G during their MVP Black Days, in their heyday, the best thing that I ever saw BALLISTIX do was to just go to Sky Temple and take the fight to Gen.G.
Talking about bringing the fight, Sake looking to make that happen. SD actually getting a warp over. Scatter's going to hit him very low. Will Gen.G actually aggress any farther? End up surviving there, but my goodness, BALLISTIX, the confidence, the control that they are displaying so far here in this first game, I feel like this is going to be, I dare I say, maybe better than the last series so far.
One can only hope, and I don't think we can expect too much worse or better because that first one was insane, and these teams know how to put on a show, so we'll see how this unfolds. But for BALLISTIX to start out with first blood, get the invade early in the game, and this is one way to make a statement right out of the gate. So for them, that disrupts. Gen.G is, you know, we have certain teams, they ramp up fast, and then certain teams that ramp up slow. The only problem is Gen.G is one of the few teams that ever ramps up fast. And so Gen.G, to disrupt their early momentum in this way, does force them into an adaptation period. They are incredible at any form, any realm of the game, but clearly that takes away one of their strongest traits.
And I think the tempo is a very important thing that you do bring up. You know, Gen.G is one of those ones that's very, very fast in their way to approach. Hold on there with that kind of skirmish down below. But BALLISTIX, if we look at the tempo and cadence of that they performed yesterday, it seemed like they were just in control, waiting, and then they just go, all right, we are going to end this game here. And I feel like that might be something we look for once again. But so far with the first blood, they are starting off things right here. Both teams timing out the night camp perfectly when coming to these temple spawn. We'll see who ends up getting most of these shots.
Yeah, the amount of value that you get if you can get that top lane push, it's something that we see a lot in North America and Europe, but here they're going to have that control. The solo laners will hold there for the moment. The most important thing right now is Gen.G holding control of that vision does give them that rotational control if they want to try and sneak around. And right now, BALLISTIX able to bully them off the mid-temple as Li Ming starting to make her way up. We'll see how this unfolds.
Looking to make her way into things as Urel and Blaze kind of slapping one another towards that top. Rich trying to poke and prod there. He's actually going to get that groundbreaker Tist not willing to pull the trigger yet when it comes to the Shadow Charge.
Well, we can see who won that top battle. Urel, she's pretty strong, I hear, but that does give Gen.G an opportunity to move forward as they come in. Level 7 clearly in favor of Ballistics if they can get another structure down, but as more and more starts to fall here, look for Gen.G to try and take this fight. Right now, Ballistics, they're looking to hold point as Hooligan and Tist, the standoff there between the tanks. Who's willing to come in first? It's going to be Hooligan as he gets the flip back.
Flip over, but a lot of damage onto Hooligan as well. SDE not able to knock it down there with that minigun and passive use. The rest of the shots now are going to be collected here by Gen.G. A pretty successful first temple phase here for Gen.G.
Well, Urel comes down and says, hold on a second, I can hold on to this point. Also got a big old hammer, and there's some grenades. There's going to be the follow-up as we see Magi making plays there on Stukov, continuing to put the lurking arm down, but the weighted pushel and everything. That's going to be Diablo falling again. Dreadnought, only 34 souls still, but post-level 4, it does get easier, but for early Diablo, it's no easy task to survive in these moments.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, here that we do highlight that that is not only an early game Diablo problem as much as it is a Tychus post 4 problem. SDE on the Tychus has the opportunity to rip through those health bars as long as we do end up seeing that minigun usage. Anytime you see that thing turn red, that means get away as fast as you possibly can there for Tist. And so it's going to be cool to see, do we see adjustments for that throughout this game? Do we see Tist maybe second guessing that? Because you noted he never initiated one Shadow Charge throughout the entirety of that temple.
Just way too early, way too risky. Ends up finding himself on the bad end of things twice, though. Gen.G, they're going in forward. Hooligan gets the flip over, the heels get passed out. Seeing if Magi can maybe land that weighted pushel as he also activates the bio kill switch.
Urel is making the rotation far faster than Blaze. If they end up stalling this out any longer, Lurking Arm goes down along with the two-man groundbreaker. They're not going to make it out here. Urel leaps in. Karzim's going to be the first to drop. Hooligan flips over Tist. Shadow Charge out, but Tist is going to be going down 2 for 0 so far here for Ballistics. Boss is prop. Look at that warp!
SC goes in, but Reset says, hold up, wait a minute, I've got Calamity. Ends up getting the trade out there. Still a 2 for 1 in favor of Ballistics, but SC is feeling himself after those early fights, but might dial it back a notch or 10 after that one.
Reset was just like, all right, okay, I get what you're thinking here, but not today. Still going to be the reigning world champions here and showing the dominance that they have. We have 20 seconds out, but the experience advantage for Ballistics here, Jay Howe, I mean, is something that Gen.G is very much going to be concerned with, and it's going to force them to make some kind of interesting decisions over these next couple of seconds and find ways to recover what seems like about 1/3 of a deficit on the race to 10.
Yeah, Test, there's really not a lot he can do. He can scout out, see what's going on there. Blaze still on the top lane. You've got 2 members here in the middle trying to get that XP, but the only XP that they can really get, they've got to be careful. Here we go, Hooligan, can he make the play? There's the dismount, the blink out. Nicely done there by Reset to get the dismount and the blink out just in time. But 10 picked up here for Ballistics. Gen.G, see if they'll look to get 10 and maybe pick a fight down in the bottom lane.
And normally when you see that big of a 10 advantage in a force on a gank like that from Ballistics, you come with the trade-off of losing some of the shots on bottom, but they did a great job actually holding their own on bottom. And we actually get ourselves the Draken Laser going to be thrown down here by Tychus. So much single target DPS. Diablo has to second guess every initiation now, J-How.
I don't know the last time I've seen this at this level of play, but here we go. There's going to be Indomitable use. The knock up there, already the Ardent Defender. Here comes the drill as the Lurking Arm locks down multiple members. Reset, he's targeted. He's going to be the first to fall. Now we've got the bunker in place, seeing if they can hold.
Rich is able to get the natural agility away. Hooligan now in a bad spot, flipping over. 7-sided strike goes down along with the Dragon Zero. Jet Propulsion locking down 3 members of Ballistics. Lightning Breath zoning out the rest, but look at this. Young-Ha leaps out and holds his own. SC with the warp. Everybody on Ballistics survives for a little bit there, but Magi ends up dropping Hooligan. Can he make it out? Tis actually gets thrown over the wall, but he will end up focusing the sidewall, maybe able to survive. Young-Ha coming in with that damage. SC not able to get the auto.
Oh, the charge out!
What is going on?
Kyoja comes in, gets the trade out there on that, and we're going to see the continued fight here as we see the Indomitable use with Sake making more and more plays. The warp out just in time. SC able to survive the scatter arrow. Almost gets the takedown, and SC hits him with the spray as he dodges the Sonic arrow and says, not today, Rich.
Oh, for a second there, Reset was just a fraction of an inch possibly away to be able to get that without Disintegrate, though, going with the Wave of Force. Just barely out of range for that Reset on top of SC.
Dread.
Oh my goodness here, J-How.
Sake dashing in just when you think he's one place. He's like, now you see me even closer, because he is making plays, confirming some of these kills. It's the Korean style, the charism, being able to execute, get those plays, and in the right moments. The dive over he had on the Magi, things of that nature are just incredible to watch here as Gen.G and BALLISTIX just have the back and forth. 10 kills here in the first 9 minutes.
But the structure advantage still significantly in favor of Gen.G, and after those couple of trades, they find themselves with the experience advantage as well. So BALLISTIX needs to find a way to be able to regain control, again, when looking towards the rest of the battleground here. Boss is one of those areas where normally you might look to be able to make that happen, but I can't help but feel like boss control pretty much heavily follows in favor of Gen.G. With the Lightning Breath, Bunker, Dragon Zero, Wave of Force, every single one of those, even 7-sided, is very difficult to stand on top of a point of and hold your own against.
You know, the more I think about the Tychus build, the more intrigued I am, because he did go in the Rhythm, which is a stacking talent. When you're in the Odin, well, there's no real, you know, minigun going off there. So I guess if you're going to stack that up for a long period of time, then Draken's one way to make sure that you can continue to use that without having to worry, like, do I need to cancel this? Do I need to do this? So you get maximum value everywhere around. I don't see it that often. We'll see how it plays out. But Gen.G, with the help of a Hanzo, they're ripping a boss, and they are doing it quickly.
Yeah, no way that BALLISTIX is going to be able to make the rotation down. Sonic Arrow zoning out Hooligan just enough time there to pick up the boss, and timed greatly here by Gen.G. Now somebody on BALLISTIX has to be able to deal with that boss, but they're so worried about some of these shots. And it's going to go all the way to the keep from wall. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, those Giants will not track down and get the peel that necessarily BALLISTIX wants for their own. So this is a very high risk, I'm going to say mid-tier reward situation for BALLISTIX. And they end up retreating.
Yeah, I think they have to at this point. Obviously, a boss becomes incredibly powerful when you have the minion wave behind it, so they could afford to give up just a minor amount of that push. Instead, they will drop back and defend. They do have lane and vision control still by way of those Siege Giants, but only momentarily. So they'll have to anchor here, keep an eye on things as they keep Yrel on point.
But with Phoenix displaying towards the boss, that means that Gen.G can make a 4-versus-4 rotation down below and make it pretty easily and confidently. Phoenix now has made his way over. SE will end up getting out of fog here and show that this is not going to be the rotation that they want. But because Gen.G has controlled so much on top, they can make the cycle down and force this 5-versus-5. Well, again, fighting over a shrine in a temple that they want.
Here comes Blaze. He's coming down to join the fight. They might get the 5-on fight that they are looking for. Gen.G, they're coming in. They are not afraid to take this. Zhang sitting on his leap, waiting. Sure, but there's going to be the root. There's going to be the follow-up. The Diablo, he's going to get taunted back in. That's going to be a takedown onto Diablo.
And first kill here of the skirmish. BALLISTIX just ripping apart Diablo. He will come back to life, but Kyocha getting a massive shove into the corner. Zhang trying to track it down. There's no way that Kyocha will end up surviving this. And Tis so far away from being able to join into this skirmish. BALLISTIX take off the 2 kills, the rest of those shots, and finding a way to gain that control that I was asking them to find a couple minutes ago.
Magi straight making plays this game, Dreadnought. I mean, that's not something we... Look, Magi is a great player, a fantastic world-class player, but normally there's just so much coordination, the lead-in from Hooligan, but it seems when you have a Stukov, hey, look, you become a playmaker instantly when you lock in this hero. Magi is living up to the task of saying, look, I'm getting the lockdowns, I'm getting the kills. Guys, just follow my lead, and Hooligan walked right in, that taunt directly after. It was beautifully set up against a stacked Diablo.
Yeah, and as you said, it's been through, you know, kind of all stages. That's not just the Magi making the play post-13. Think about the first temple phase.
Yeah.
That was the 2-man lurking arm into the 2-man groundbreaker that won the skirmish. It was the opening trade for BALLISTIX, and I completely agree with you. I mean, we know Magi to be a world-class player, but if I was to raise a high, you know, maybe a weak point, the kind of weakest link of BALLISTIX, he more often not is the name that comes to my mind. So stepping up here for the squad when it absolutely matters against a rival like Gen.G.
Well, the best of 5 is sure to have several playmaking moments, but right now we have a moment of calm before the storm that will be coming. That boss obviously still off cooldown as we hit the next temple phase, which will be top and mid. In the experience, only a minor lead here for Gen.G as both teams will be on the even talent tier as we head into the next temple phase.
No Blaze being displayed on the battleground, so BALLISTIX doesn't know whether or not they can fully commit to that skirmish. Very smart play there. Blaze shows on that bottom lane. That is an easy dive, even without the 16 to try and make something happen, or at least be a bit more confident to force the hand of Gen.G. Now Blaze ridding of the Giants. Hooligan and friends with the 16, questioning if they want to make something happen, but instead back out looking towards the Knights. And this is all about eye control here, J-How. With top and middle being the focus, both teams with 16. Whoever controls vision, more often than not, controls this game.
Well, Dread, let's dive deeper into the point you made earlier about that single target focus onto the Diablo. We now have Titan Grenade from from Tychus, which gives you that percentage-based damage. Oh, by the way, Urel's going hammer,
Hooligan
getting that extra damage. Hooligan comes in for the flank, and Dominant will use 7-sided strike. That's going to be an instant blow-up. There's going to be some value there as he gets exploded, sent flying. There's going to be another flip. The Draken Laser Drill is down, but it's going to go down as the Lightning Breath is there. Magi creates a little bit of space, given the stiff arm. GEN.G trying to survive, but now in comes the onslaught.
Yeah, 2 kills there immediately. Reset trying to find another one there for the squad. Magi, without hitting the weighted puzzle with a silence play, not going to be an opportunity. SC, though,
Rich will go after this.
Yeah, he was limiting the damage done in that type of situation, understanding they were not going to win the fight, trying to remove a lot of those. But yeah, this is SC going to down almost inevitably here as Tiss now looking to join in. Honestly, the faster SC dies, the better.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where, hey, you just need to die. I don't know if you needed to try and trade out because there was almost no way. But the minute Rich sees blood in the water, he is going to chase. And that right there, SC, he got some channel value mid. But now, as you said, maybe should have died quicker. You look at the staggered death timers. Urel only 3 seconds away, but it's that Phoenix that's so crucial to all of this as he's still 25 seconds out.
And I think the important thing to highlight is actually that decision by SC is a winning decision as long as he has somebody be able to backdoor top in the downtime. Stalling as long as you can was a victory, but he was losing shots on mid, he was losing shots on top, and he was more importantly setting himself time once the shots are gone, which you're looking at exactly now, which now is leading to a boss. I can't help but highlight exactly how drastic of a setback SC dying in that situation was, and more importantly, how slow he died, because he may be able to contest this boss, and now he's not even on the battleground.
Yeah, and this right now with the siege camp continuing here, you think about the potential for 1 kill is all it takes. If they get the isolation kill, Gen.G, they're not looking just for a keep, but they could be looking to potentially end game here early. Getting a keep obviously is the biggest win. Look at that minion wave that's going to be behind this. This is potential here for Gen.G to take down keep, look to end game. Ballistics has to be very careful with their position. Here comes the Dragon Arrow.
3-4-man Dragon's Arrow, but look at that hammer knockback. My goodness, GEN.G saving the team and keeping them alive. But there is still a lot to be concerned about as Gen.G looking to break the base here on now. Focus going on to the bottom keep. It will not get the 20 spike, but very, very close. Ballistics have to move past this boss and force the fight once this keep goes down. GEN.G questioning if he wants to get the initiation. Keep falls, and Gen.G goes to core. Look at that 7-sided going down the flip over into the fray, keeps SDE alive.
The boss is still here. The Draken Laser Drill's got to go down. This boss is going to be on core. Here comes the salvo as it comes out, but that is going to be Phoenix falling before it ever gets triggered. And now here we go. Gen.G trying to end the game as they're approaching 20. They have approached the core. The shields have gone down, and now Gen.G showing the powerhouse, that late game power, as they get another takedown, and they are going to end game number 1.
Draken Laser too little, too late, and Gen.G here shows why they are your reigning world champions and pull up 1 game here over Ballistics on what is a very, very comfortable battleground for both teams.
Gen.G, man, that trade out, that staggered death might have been enough for Gen.G to say, look, this is fine, and you go back to all the decisions, all the playmaking, it came in strong there. Just Gen.G showing their strength, and that was an incredible show there in the late game, G-Clef.
I think Hooligan had a critical mistake dying around 16 when they had a double tempo up in the top and the mid. That was a crazy time to be in that positioning. I think he's regretting really hard. It was on the screen right in the middle, where because Diablo, when Tiss is actually on a Diablo, a very aggressive tank, he doesn't play the same. He was actually losing it at the beginning. Hooligan was winning big time, and then he just suddenly came back. He had a big throw in the middle. I think that actually cost him the game big time.
I do think it kind of set them back, but I think another thing to bring up that was very important, again, that was a top and middle shrine type situation, and Hooligan owned a vision. He thought he was safe, but I immediately pointed out, whoever controls this vision, that's going to be important. But Gen.G just did the very obvious thing of going, well, if you control vision, this is the most aggressive, obvious position that most people take. They just blind shot into it and was like, okay, Hooligan's on an island, now Hooligan's gone. It was, for me, I looked at that as a bit more on the impressive on Gen.G just kind of abusing the information, and it feels like that is, to me, at least the standout thing between Gen.G and a lot of the world is they really love manipulating their information.
Sometimes all it takes is small mistakes, and Gen.G will just run with it, and that's the difference because it felt very measured. It was 16-16 going into that temple phase, and then next thing you know, 2 to 3 minutes later, it's over. It's like, what happened? And Gen.G can do that to you. The amount of pressure, that high octane pace that we know they like to play with is so incredibly powerful in these games. Ballistics, they did well to take the fight to them, I think, in the early part of the game, but beyond that, it was the back and forth battle, and the minute late game came in, it just seemed like Ballistics ran out of steam, and Gen.G was just getting started.
Yeah, not that Ballistics played a bad game. Gen.G actually held that advantage and just kept on rolling with it. Like they got the control of the camp at the top. So with the Hanzo, they have really quick time clear with the boss. So they never let go of that macro for themselves. So Ballistics, they kind of have to follow, and within that time, they can't really go for the boss. They have to clear the top, so they had no choice to make a move. And we did see SC going in all the way into the middle alone, but that was a little bit lucky of help from the boss as well. But I think Ballistics just got a little bit unlucky in game number 1. I think that decided lots of things as well. Gen.G just taking the lead. I think we do have to see game 2 to see who comes on top, though.
So keeping that in mind now, knowing that Ballistics had the opportunity, they ended up selecting the battleground of Sky Temple to be able to kick things off here. You know, is there anything, no losing number 1, that you go, do we see the adjustment? You go, we want battleground pick, or do you stick to the Korean Classic, go with the first pick, and, you know, kind of put yourself at the will of Gen.G, if you will?
I think it is going to be the first pick, very likely, because I think depending on because of the draft, how they were actually betting against the flex and picking the tanks first, which is very unusual. It didn't really happen too many times during phase number 1 and 2. So they're awfully having a different style of drafting. I think they're actually clashing against each other today. That was a strategy to actually bet against the flex, which they happen to be doing the exact same thing against each other. So it's going to be pretty fun. I don't exactly know. I think it's going to be Ballistics first pick. Maybe Gen.G will just take us to Battlefield of Eternity and show that mad rich Hanzo play once again.
Well, according to some of the numbers here, if we were going to stick to, you know, the pattern of Gen.G priority, the top 2 battlegrounds going to be Tuma's Spider Queen, Volskaya Foundry. We know Volskaya Foundry is not going to be an option, so assuming that we do see that first pick, is going to be Tuma the Spider Queen coming up. Yeah. And, you know, science there. I'm no wizard. That's just looking at basic numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. Here, Tuma the Spider Queen, and I'm concerned if I'm Ballistics, just because Gen.G, I feels like one of the only teams in the world outside of the region of Europe that I go, Tuma the Spider Queen, I don't want to play you.
I will say that whether it's a Reina or a Phoenix, I think there's going to be high priority for that hero when it comes to the side of Ballistics, maybe even first pick on that Phoenix. Obviously, the Hanzo is still powerful, not nearly as powerful in some people's eyes as the Phoenix there, but I think that if you're Ballistics, you need that on your side. You need some type of control. It plays directly to their style. If they want to go Leeming, if they want to go Tychus behind that, those are things that we know work on this battleground. You mentioned the Lunara. That's come out, I believe, twice this phase, so it is something that they can continue to play around that fits their play style here on Tomb of the Spider Queen without giving too much up to your opponent.
Well, we're about to find out here what we're going to see on Tomb of the Spider Queen as we're getting into draft for Game 2 between Ballistics and Gen.G. Gen.G is a hero who we often look at and we go, especially at the Eastern scene, you know, at very high prominence, always taken off the battleground. But Tomb of the Spider Queen with the wave clear dependence and things of the like, you question, will it ever kind of make it through? And the answer is very quickly, no, Gen.G take it off. But I like the fact that we do see the Diablo ban here for Ballistics. I really want to see, as you brought up earlier, G-Clef, that higher priority into the Warrior pool here for them.
I would like to see Ballistics actually stealing away that Junkrat pick instead of banning it out.
Yeah.
And try to focus on something else, because the reset will be looking for that Junkrat for the harassment to cancel all the turn-ins with the gems. This is the map where reset would just excel on that Junkrat, also having the extra wave clear as well. So having that away, maybe this is the best map for Tychus. SDE, even though he had a pretty good showing in game 1, I wish they just steal that pick away.
We also saw the Junkrat during the second ban, and I think that's going to be another hero here that will come into play. The Rainer is going to come in there, will concede the Phoenix, but the high priority on that hero is going to be there. The hero's specialization for that of SC, obviously the flexibility is there, but the snap lock pick of a Phoenix and a Deckard. We've seen the Garrosh pick at times, but Phoenix and Deckard have some of the best control over the front line there with their slows.
Yeah, I feel like if we do end up seeing that Garrosh direction, it's going to be way too much control there. So much so that Ballistics, I feel like with the Warrior priority, if they're going to go into it, I'd like to see something more like that in New Barak or that Muradin. They end up going with the New Barak. I was originally hoping to see the Muradin, but still a fine pickup, and again, more popular here within Korea.
That also begs the question that we might see Stukov later. You get the follow-up CC beyond that, a New Barak. Obviously, Malfurion has taken a hit, so we'll see if that continues to be in play for Magi.
For the second ban.
Probably not going to be in the Warrior choke, knowing that there were already double Warriors picked on the other side. There you see that Junkrat. So with that in mind, if Gen.G's the one banning that out, isn't that, again, more focus on the SDE and then whatever that wave clear is that Gen.G wants to pick up for themselves to, again, deny the hero pool of SDE?
It is not the most common thing, but even Gen.G and also Ballistics rarely did play false side on this map. They can actually macro this one out. It is a smaller map indeed, but There are a few other picks, which is Falstad just having some macro control. And against Blaze, when we do not have a Dehaka, I think it's actually becoming better of a choice now.
Demurred and Blaze, very safe, very standard. We still have that last pick, the damage dealers. We still need one more for Ballistics here, and probably most likely in the form of SDE. The mage play, we know he can go that route at times.
Or the more standard will be just the mage like Li Ming, but as long as he can break in and get a kill, which will be really hard, but he does turn around and pick Jaina instead.
Really happy to see the Jaina there over the Li Ming, just considering the battleground itself. A reasonable amount of kill potential, maybe not as much late game snowballing into those team fights, but it's going to provide a lot more that Ballistics absolutely is going to need now that they see this very slow control play. The Phoenix within the 1-4, Blaze into the off lane. It's going to be a hard time here, I feel like, for Ballistics, but a nice hybrid there into that last selection. We'll see what Gen.G wants to pick up. I feel like with the Junkrat ban, this is going to be a pretty curious pick, and there it is. That's what I was saying, is banning out the Junkrat in this type of situation doesn't make sense because it's the more prominent one for them to select, and I thought it had to do with limiting SDE a little bit harder, but with the Jaina picked up, it didn't seem that to make that much sense, but I'm glad to see that the Junkrat ban seems to make sense now that a wild pick like Nazeebo coming to life.
Nazeebo does have options at 13, most notably Ice Block, but Anub'arak, as we've seen at times, when Anub'arak goes in and he uses all of his abilities and you don't get a kill, sometimes it's hard to make your way out. It's even harder to make your way out when you have a wall of zombies around you, so it is something to consider that the single target damage obviously can be there. You can get the lockdown potential, but the Nazeebo is something, the rumblings were here, the rumblings were there, and we thought there's no way, but he comes in, and we're ready. I mean, this is Nazeebo. And here's the storm. I'm excited. I've been waiting for Nazeebo for a while.
It is the best map from Nazeebo, and I think Ballistics took a hard hit. And I think they actually lost the draft because oftentimes in Korea, when you pull out Jaina, you do need that bunker as an exit route. But in this case, Blaze was taken by Gen.G, so they had no other option. I think SDE Jaina pick was on the fly, actually. They need some kind of mage, but leaving does not really help against Muradin. Blaze is going to be very hard to get the kill, so they just had to pick Jaina for the burst damage. Let's see if it works out in game, though.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this does function, as we said, with SDE kind of moving over to the Jaina and then the Nazeebo coming through. You guys, though, have faith here in the Nazeebo himself. 86% towards Gen.G. I feel like that's probably more towards Gen.G than it is the Nazeebo. I don't, you know. That is a good point that you bring up, and I know this is probably not going to happen in this game where you were talking about earlier about the zombie wall and how big of a problem that can be. Locust Swarm just rips right through that puppy. I'm just saying it's a maximum amount it's a pretty reasonable amount of healing to do with that. It used to be the answer. It was the old school answer.
I've been on the Locust Swarm thing of like, there are situations where Locust Swarm comes in. Yeah. We also saw the pick for Regen Master earlier in our previous series. I don't know if it ever got completed, but this is a very easy map to finish Globe Talent. So if you want to go Regen Master to make sure you can survive those diving situations, then I think this is going to be the map.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we do have game number 2 ready on Tomb of the Spider Queen between Gen.G and Ballistics.
Dread and I waiting desperately to see what Nazeebo's level 1. Yeah. Do we get toads? Do we get spiders? We got spiders, baby.
All right, so one thing to keep in mind, actually, here as we get the introductions done. Actually, you know what? I just want to dabble here into the Nazeebo. One thing I want to talk about is Nazeebo with crowd control. A lot of people underestimate how Nazeebo spiders function, right? You throw out the jar, it hits the target, the spiders chase the target. Crowd control actually increases the damage output of those spiders because if you move faster than the spiders, they literally just don't get the damage output out. So anytime you can see that setup enabled with that, and you know who has a really good long period of time lockdown that makes it very easy, is Decker King. Any amount of slow, any amount of root, either one of those is going to be enough to maximize the damage potential of those spiders.
My favorite thing of talking to the players earlier this week was I asked Rich, obviously he was the one that played Sergeant Hammer during Mid-Season Brawl, and it has forever changed the meta. You know, I'm not saying it's for the better or the worse, because Sergeant Hammer does have some quirks about her. But I said, is there any other hero that you might play this weekend that might change the meta? He said, if we do, it probably won't be me playing the hero. We found out we've got a Nazeebo here from Reset, so we'll see how effective this will be in the spider build in particular.
And before the action really begins to kick off, Jay Howe, I'm going to ask one more question here, reflecting a bit more towards the Nazeebo. Do we get Gary the Guard, or is this the Ravenous Spirit moment?
Ravenous Spirit does have a lot of potential for the reasons that you highlighted just moments ago about the slows, the lockdown. Ravenous Spirit, you can kind of run away from it. But what happens when you can't run from that terrifying monster? I mean, it's like you know, you ever have those nightmares where you're being chased by something, you just can't run fast enough, and you're just so, you wake up desperate?
That's the spirit.
Yeah, well, that's the spirit, but you don't wake up from this nightmare.
You do not. You just go back to the Hall of Storms, or it's GG. Either way, it is going to be interesting to see what unfolds here for Gen.G. Man, you talk about you having some of the fear. You know, back when I played, that thing did way more damage than it does today. Still one of my favorite heroics, but either way, getting back to the action here when it comes to control of the lanes. So far, you know, it feels like BALLISTIX falling behind a little bit when it comes to the control, but look at that with Moggy hitting that lurking arm there, and the setup from Hooligan. They find themselves first blood. Great job there from BALLISTIX.
They're going to need a lot more of that. That's in a gank situation, and that's where it's going to execute, is the double stun from Manubarak into the lurking arm, into the full Blizzard combo. Nice body blocks behind that as well. That's easy now, but it gets much more difficult in those 5-on-5 situations when you have the counter CC coming at you, potentially in the form of a Blaze or that Deckard. So right now, that is a good start, but getting multiple picks in that fashion is actually incredibly difficult to do, I think, on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So we'll see if they are able to get more outside of the realm and try and get that early snowball going through those picks, because it will be nowhere near that easy later.
Will very much not be that easy to be able to get the setup. Look at this here, as Murden did end up collecting the camp there, but I love the fact that Hooligan was not willing to let them pick it up whenever they would like, knowing that they captured it earlier, trying to force Gen.G a little bit here and there, but Rich with the transition down, trying to focus onto the night camp skirmish, will end up warping over as Moggy trying to thwart things there with the lurking arm.
Nazeebo, we know that was almost like baseball. Like, we saw Kyocha, he was jet propulsioning by, and as he's going, it was like just throwing it up like softball style. Let's give him the hammer. But yeah, Nazeebo post level 20, everybody knows it's very intimidating, and obviously the level 4 talent making sure to get that bonus health and mana there off that. Jiang surviving, and he's just baiting right now and just missing on that lurking arm on Rich, and now they're turning the fight. They're turning it on Hooligan.
Yeah, ended up using the passive and the leap in. Jiang giving 4 members that armor, but yeah, for sure that had to have been a bait by Jiang. He had his passive up and did not even begin to channel his E at any point in time there, trying to see if they can extend out a little bit too far, but Gen.G keeping things under control here.
It's fine. Trust me, it's fine. He just walks away. You know, we'll continue to keep an eye on Nazeebo's stacks. Is currently on his baseline, sitting on 60 stacks. He is stacking up very rapidly in this game.
And, you know, Nazeebo has one of the most probably important, you know, stacking opportunities when it comes to his, again, the late game damage output and scaling that he has for himself. Hold up, though. Burrow Charge going to land there with the Impale follow-up. Reset is just fine there. Throws down the zombie wall. But the more important thing here is that BALLISTIX got themselves a couple of gems. Now 39 gems turned in there into control, but it comes at the cost there. It's more gems turned in on the bottom half here. And now Kyocha may be out too far there. Jaina ends up hitting the ice land. Not going to be able to get out of there. And Blaze drops there. Gen.G falling behind everywhere here, J-How.
BALLISTIX, again, this is very reminiscent of game number 1, where they had a very early start, a very good start getting those few picks, but we've got to continue to elaborate on the fact that it takes much more than that against Gen.G. There are so many nails in the coffin. That final nail in the coffin is where you win the game, but so many times you're like, man, this sure does take a lot of nails to get Gen.G out of here. They are so good, so strong, so resilient, and they have so much firepower as this game goes on. But right now, BALLISTIX in control as they have the first Web Weavers of the game. They have good sieging potential. Remember, this is pre-changes to Stukov, so if you find yourself in an area, that lurking arm is still until you cancel it, or unless somebody else stuns you out of it. So you do have that potential.
Great lurking arm going to be dropped there. SCE with the Pierce ending up landing the double slow, but nothing to be gained here, at least not yet for BALLISTIX. They get the siege out. Jimmy having a very disproportional laning mismatch for him on the top half in favor of Raynor, so that's going to be difficult for Blaze to be able to deal with in the long run. BALLISTIX has to be pretty comfortable with what they ended up picking up. A minimum double front wall with the rotation towards the top half, and again, Raynor has been in a very disproportionate lane. He has been able to rip through that thing. But Gen.G did not fall too far behind and experience these front walls worth a lot less than they once used to be. And so now it's all about this web weaver phase, and can Gen.G get these turn-ins before the 10 spike and maybe some kill potential opportunity for BALLISTIX?
Well, you also mentioned that matchup for Raynor. Again, we are seeing Behemoth Armor picked up, so he wants to give the pepper over to those heroes. So
Yes.
as long as he has somebody willingly standing there in front of him trying to wave clear, that will favor the stack. Nice Storm Bolt there by Tist. Dude, zero ping is legit for these guys. They do this in their daily routine at home, but they get it here, and it looks so much better. Like, this is insane, the high-level play. There goes the stun, the slow, but he's got friends as Magi comes in, puts the lurking arm, just misses.
We said did end up making the transition down, looking to join in with the rest of the squad, as we do see Jung-Ha there on the rel, dropping off 19 gems for herself, probably going to be anchoring that bottom half. Phoenix and Blaze making the transition on the side of Gen.G.
Nazeebo, of course, when you go this build, you go the extra spiders. When you hit an individual target or one target in general, that can really be anything. You can proc it off of a minion, and then those spiders will go chase. So there are different ways to utilize that. So we'll see if we can get that value. Still 66 stacks on that. But more importantly, 103 stacks on the baseline. Here, we've got a fight breaking out. SDE, the cocoon comes out, but it is going to be too late, as that's going to be the first kill for Gen.G.
Yeah, and Gen.G's now just picking up their heroics. Rich actually gonna get slammed against the wall there. He's not going to be able to make it out, but SC with that Lornado getting pushed down. Door toss in. Tistons up picking that up for himself. Gen.G up 2-1 in this trade as the flailing swipe gets thrown out by Maki. Jung-Ha trying to leap around, but the body blocks. The Ravenous Spirit getting dropped down there. Not enough damage to be able to pick up the kill. Jung-Ha kites away. My goodness, your rel is a monster.
This is insane to see as the spiders are out in full effect. Hooligan trying to defend, but it's not enough in time as Gen.G does finally get their first turn in. And it wasn't without some action there. But as you said, Ravenous Spirit.
All right, so
he lives on.
It's very important, ladies and gentlemen. You saw that Ravenous Spirit. I want you to remember how much damage that did into your brain, okay? Because later into the game, I want you to keep your eye on that little thing flailing its arms towards the right hand of your screen. Because if it touches those health bars, they're going to be dropping very, very quick. Gen.G, with that skirmish, pick themselves up the Web Weaver phase. And honestly, their siege capabilities are drastically greater than that of BALLISTIX. We see the Salvo go out with the 3-man burrow charge. Nothing going to be gained yet here, JL.
Oh, the burrow charge went under. The Lornado was locking out Hooligan. He's trying to get out of there, but Rich is chasing him down. Does get some damage, but we also see the water elemental on top of that. Tits comes over for the support, so the trade out in favor of Rich as they get the first takedown. The wall has gone down, and Ubrak, the only casualty so far.
But look at that bottom siege on that Web Weaver. It has been unscathed. There's so much value there for Gen.G on the bottom half of the battleground. So much so, you see the 4-man rotation up. Look at that. We see the Sapphire drop there. Flailing Swipe forced out from Magi. Will Rich end up looking for the warp? No, first
Tist.
Oh, yeah. You know he wants to go over there. We see the Dwarf Toss, Stormbolt. It's going to land.
There's the slow. Do they get the follow-up lockdown as Jung-Ha comes in? Does get knocked back by that Lornado outside of that route. So the zoning control definitely there for Sake, keeping everything at bay. But as you said, all of that siege damage that has now accumulated. Now you look up at that scoreboard, things have been even up until this point, but now it's almost 13-12. It will be momentarily, so Gen.G is starting to take the lead.
And the most important thing to be able to keep track of is in the lower right-hand side of your screen. 59 gems in the hands of Gen.G after that Web Weaver phase. They already can force that turn-in, and BALLISTIX doesn't have the 12 opportunity. If BALLISTIX is going to make a play here, it's going to be with a heavy trap opportunity whenever they siege with those Knights throughout mid. They need to constrain vision control over that, because without a 13 talent tier, they need to make sure that Gen.G is split up in this double anchoring position they're going to be in. And I can't help but feel like Cocoon is going to be the tool that they use to make that happen.
Hooligan comes in, does eat a hammer. Jung-Ha comes in for support, supplying that armor. She jumps in. Magi with the zoning out for now, but zoning, oh, I was going to say he might be in trouble of his own, but the Lornado unable to pull him in along that wall. But BALLISTIX, they're holding strong for now, but as you said, without that 13, Gen.G now looking to complete that turn-in.
Interesting decision for BALLISTIX to be able to move up and make that happen, but it did stalemate things off over that turn-in long enough to reliably have the 13 within, a short time frame as these Web Weavers descend. But things are not over yet here, J-Hal. I cannot highlight how effective Nazeebo is at sieging. Probably one of the best backliners to be able to just throw out as many spells as possible and be a problem. When I say he's great at sieging, it's not with his raw damage output, it's how much poke and prod he's going to put onto BALLISTIX health bars. As the Web Weavers now looking to join in the rest of the ranks here of Gen.G.
The zoning out by Magi, the lurking arm goes down. Rich continuing to step forward with this team. Now as that starts to go, here comes
Oh.
Blaze. There's going to be the jump in by Tiss. They do get the bunker down. They are going in forward. SC trying to retreat is not able to make it as the Ravenous Spirit continuing to wreck the backline of Ballistics. We
SDE?
wonder, where does it come in?
Oh, that was so very close to be able to get that damage. The well cannot out-heal the damage of Ravenous Spirit, and that is going to be another kill for Reset and friends. Highlight I want to bring up with that last skirmish. Jung-Ha's leap on Yrel was the only reason that Jet Propulsion did not just pretty much obliterate Ballistics' backline. SC did end up dropping here, and Gen.G now making a lot happen as this keep is going to drop. When the Webweaver phase descends, they will have the 16 talent tier. They will not have a Webweaver phase, but neither will Ballistics. So likely we're going to find ourselves in that boss-type circumstance. In Ballistics, it just feels like everything, all resources here have withered away.
Things were just so close in that 11-11, that 10-11 in that area. And now all of a sudden things look so incredibly different, that 16-13. And now for Ballistics, the general rotation for most teams when they get to this point, as you said, when you don't have that turn and you have that talent tier advantage, you look towards the boss. For Ballistics, they need to find a way to get a turn in. And it looks like they're moving down towards the area. At least they were contemplating it. Right now, they're being very cautious. They finally make their way over, but Tiss, he's going to find his way in. See if they can. If Tiss steps out, Hooligan and team, they're going to look to try and get the takedown.
Can't get drop the cocoon.
There it is.
Oh, but they missed the root. Actually, root is going to get popped there, but it might be a little
That
bit
was-
late. They end up getting it there. Great use of the passive there from Magi, locking it down and abusing that 13 talent tier. Hammer is going to send it out there, but Jaina actually just getting one shot there. Salvo goes through, bunker going to be dropped, and look at Ballistics. Everybody's health will falling so low. Reset with the Ravenous Spirit, trying to rip them apart.
SC was able to get the interrupt on that with the penetrating round, and now he's turning
Rich.
the fight here. Rich is in deep. He's trying to trade
Oh.
out. He does get one trade out, but now Hooligan, he comes in with the stun, gets the lockdown. SC trying to survive, but you can see Reset continue to put out so much damage. Doesn't have that 20 for those auto attacks, poisons just yet, so the skill shot's not landing. A 2-for-2 trade, but that boss, he said this trade is definitely in favor of me.
Lot of siege damage there towards that top keep after the mid keep already being removed off the battleground by Gen.G. Gen.G does not have the opportunity to get the Webweaver phase for themselves, and that skirmish really just enabled that top boss to be a major, major problem. But there is still a small silver lining. Ballistics, they held on long enough to get a Webweaver opportunity with the 16 window. It is by no means the game over. When they get that control, they have so much more pressure they need to apply to Gen.G, but there is a win condition we haven't seen for a hot while here. See if they can make it happen.
Well, Tiss, he's going in again. He's going to get the cocoon onto the bunker, making sure that there is no safety target, but the Lornado keeping so many members of Ballistics locked in, and now here comes the salvo. Rich comes in with the damage. SC under assault. He's going to be the first takedown. The rest of the team, they're seeing if they can get more as Gen.G. They are in pursuit as Jung-Ha. They are diving past him, knowing that he's going to fall momentarily as Rich is making plays.
Reset has 3 seconds on Ravenous Spirit. He's going to be able to get a large flank. Great job by getting the dismount, but at this point, this is going to be 2 dead members if he rips this thing through. Nice burrow charge going out. Not going to, oh, there we see the commitment. A little bit later than I expected, and good night, my sweet prince. No way around that thing. I love this heroic. My goodness. Gen.G end up getting the pick off there, getting out that top keep, and it looks like they've got themselves game number 2.
Don't even get to see 20 tier into Zebo, but it doesn't matter because Gen.G does it before 20 ever comes in. As they're attempting to. Rainer and team, they're holding on. Hooligan goes in with a stun. That's going to be a Nubrak. He goes pop. SC, he's trying to walk away. Instead, he gets surrounded in his worst nightmares. The zombie wall is there. He's surviving for now. This is all over, at least momentarily. It seems like Gen.G are just trying to have some fun here, making sure to get some takedowns. Ice block is out. And now they'll turn their attention towards the core.
You know, sometimes you got to send a message here. And after game 1 and 2, if the Ravenous Spirit wasn't enough of a message, I'm sure the last couple of seconds there very much were.